The word engineering is a very difficult word to explain or to understand, mainly because there are very different types of engineering, such as mechanical, computer, electrical, and so on and so forth. However, it is a backbone of society. Without engineering, a lot of the things that we as a society have, such as cars, homes, buildings, would not exist otherwise. As Theodore von Karman said, scientists study the world as it is. Engineers create the world that has never been. Yes, scientists are there to discover new things and to research new things. However, engineers are the ones that actually make it a reality. So I thought it'd be interesting to talk about the different characteristics or traits one should have if they are wanting to major in engineering. So with that, let's get started. Hello, my name is Sarah. I'm a computer engineer, and this channel goes over all things personal finance, engineering, and personal development. The very first trait one should have or look for if they're thinking about majoring in engineering is patience. Engineering is very difficult to not only understand but to do in terms of the workload. The amount of math one has to do is much more than any other major. So if you're someone who isn't very good at math or is not as familiar with it, then having patience with yourself in terms of learning that material is very important. Also, just with engineering in general, there are going to be issues and problems that come up that no one knows how to solve, and that's the whole point of engineering. You have to give yourself patience, you have to give others patience, you have to give the program that you're working on patience, because there's going to be a lot of times where it's not going to work, it's not going to go the way you expected, and you'll have to figure out what the issue is. Whether you're in computer engineering, electrical, or mechanical, it doesn't matter. You're going to have to debug that particular thing, the software or the hardware. That could take days or weeks to solve, especially if it's something that you or none of your team members have ever seen before. The next trait or quality you should have is discipline if you want to major in engineering. Now, this is something that needs to be developed over time. It's not something that everyone is born with. However, it is very vital when it comes to majoring in engineering, because being able to answer complex analytical type questions and giving solutions requires a lot of discipline. And the reason why I say this is because it's a lot of work, a lot of new material, and it's all mathematical type stuff. So it could be very discouraging. It could also be very boring if you're not interested in that kind of stuff. And you won't be motivated to actually go to class or even do the homework. So that's where discipline comes into play. You'll have to continue to just go to class, take it day by day, week by week, whatever works for you, in order to get through the class and then through the semester and then through the year. So having that discipline really helps you progress further in engineering and actually graduate in that degree. And without that discipline, a lot of engineering students don't graduate. The only exceptions are those who are actually passionate about that degree or about that field. Having a strong discipline mentality or a trait is something to look for when it comes to majoring in engineering. Now, the next quality or trait that you should have is to be passionate about that field. As I was leading up to earlier, there are those who are actually passionate about that degree. They're curious about how a laptop works or how a TV works or how an electronic works. That really helps them major in that degree because they're already interested in it to begin with, and all that they would have to really focus on or worry about are some math equations or math formulas that they might or might not use when they do get their degree. So those things are minor in terms of what they're actually going to be doing as an engineer, because if they're interested in the work and if they're passionate about it, then they will find joy in building a software program or building a robot or building a microprocessor. So just getting through those first 4 years of their degree is worth it to them. If you're one of those people who are passionate about it, then that's great. More power to you. You should definitely get a degree in engineering. The next quality or trait that you should have if you're considering engineering is if you're good at math or solving problems or equations. There are people who are able to just grasp the material about differential equations, for example, or calculus 3. So it's not as difficult to pass these engineering classes and major in that degree. If you're one of those people who is able to do the math and do the problems and it just comes easy to you, you just understand it after a day or two of the instructor explaining it, it'll be that much easier for you. You won't be as stressed, you probably won't spend nearly as much time figuring out the problems. So if you're someone who's like that, then I definitely suggest majoring in engineering, and you'll also get a high paying salary afterwards. Now, the next trait or quality you should have if you're considering engineering is if you're detail oriented. You're a very type A personality. You want to make sure everything is in order and that everything is on time, everything is planned out. And if that's the case, then getting a degree in engineering would be a great option, because that's what most, if not all, engineers do, because everything has to be precise. Whether it involves building a microprocessor or building a software program, all of the code, numbers, and everything have to be exact so that you get the exact result or the exact outcome that you were planning on. And there also has to be a plan to begin with. There has to be a blueprint for the software or the hardware. So you do have to pay attention to detail when it comes to that. If you're someone who is like that and has that personality or that trait, then engineering is definitely a good option for you. Now, the last quality or trait one should have if they want to major in engineering is if they are motivated by money. Not everyone is passionate about the degree they get, and there are times where those who actually major in a degree that they're passionate about don't end up making much money because it's a creative field. There's no demand for it. So if you're someone who's motivated by money and wants to make a lot of money and wants to actually have a good and stable income for a long time, then engineering is the perfect path for you. I am one of those people. I was okay at math. I was more familiar with it than I was good at it. Other than that, I honestly didn't have anything else motivating me other than the fact that I knew I would get a high salary once I graduated. So that's just how it goes sometimes. And there are people who may disagree with this, may say that, oh, you can always find a job that you like and get a high paying salary. Yes, that may be true, but I honestly think the probability of getting a good salary job in a career or a field that you like is a lot lower than having to work in a place that you don't like and getting paid more. If you're someone who is willing to stick to it and it doesn't bug you that much, if engineering isn't that big of an issue for you, then I definitely suggest majoring in that degree. And personally for me, the process of actually getting the degree, so going through all of those courses, was a lot harder than being an engineer. When you're an engineer and you are in your career field, you're only focusing on one specific area or one specific topic, and you're working through that project with others, so you're collaborating with them. Whereas when you're in college, you're learning various types of mathematical problems and equations that you may or may not use in your career. And a lot of the times they're problems that could be figured out with a quick Google search, which is what you can do when you're an engineer. But when you're a student, you'll have to figure that out yourself. So that's what makes it more difficult, is that there's just a lot more material to cover, to learn, and to do by yourself than when you're an actual engineer. If you're someone who wants to major in engineering and wants to do it for the money, just keep in mind that the actual engineering job or the career is not nearly as difficult as the actual process of getting the degree, of all the classes that you have to take. Those are all the traits or qualities that one should have if they're considering majoring in engineering. And yeah, if there's anything I missed, please let me know in the comments down below. And I hope you guys like this video. And if you found it helpful or informative, please give it a like. And if you'd like to see similar videos, please subscribe, and thank you for watching. Bye.